Music is frequency. What frequency are you being fed? If I play with those frequencies, right, I can target certain parts of the mind, target the frequency to go to certain parts of the mind, and I can literally, if I want you to astral project, or if I want you to go to sleep, or if I want you to go into a meditative state, I can make my music do that.
The brain processes information electrically. It communicates with the cellular structure electrically, and it operates within a certain band of frequency. If you can broadcast frequencies carrying information, this technology has long been known, carrying information and perceptions within the frequency that the brain decodes information, the brain will decode those frequencies and will have those perceptions. You can externally influence people's perceptions externally by broadcasting these frequencies that we interact with, because we are antenna.
The sad reality is that where we now play our music is in A440. Where did that come from? It used to be 417. A440 came in with the Roman Catholic Church. They suppressed the frequencies. They lost somehow the 152 of the best Gregorian chants, including the hymn to St. John the Baptist, which we've now recovered. That particular hymn was what triggered Dr. Palaio's investigation, looking for those frequencies of vibration by which the music was played. It was known as the most uplifting hymn of all the ages, the most spiritually uplifting hymn. Hymn to St. John the Baptist was played to 6 tones. These are those 6 tones. These are those 6 frequencies. And so the A440 is what now is the standard tuning. If you go A439, you're closer to one of the Creator's tones. If you go A441, you're closer to one of the Creator's original tones. That's how precisely it has been manipulated. To do what? To shut down the 95% of your brain, particularly the right brain that operates the heart-mind to the divine human community.
Some decades ago, there was a guy who worked out the frequencies of different emotional states. This is long ago. I mean, it's very, very sophisticated now. So every thought, every emotional response is a frequency. It generates a frequency, and it is of itself a frequency. Hate is a frequency, and it's different to love. You know, when you are in a room and there's lots of aggression and conflict and hatred, you feel it. What do people say? Oh God, you can cut the atmosphere with a knife in there. That is because the frequencies of hate and conflict have been so generated, they have changed the electromagnetic field of the room.
When you go driving your car and your channel on the radio is tuned to a station and you're grooving to the music, you love that music. As you get farther and farther away from the broadcasting tower, that music gets static. You start to lose the signal from the clear channel, broadcast, and it gets staticky. When it gets staticky, you get a little annoyed. But you want to listen to it. You really have a heart for that music, so you continue to listen to it for another 10, 15 miles, and suddenly it becomes so annoying that you just get disgusted, you go, ah, and you shut it off. And if you continue to listen to it, you get sick. That's what we're talking about here. Except you don't even know that you've been listening to the static your whole life. You don't even know what the true resonant frequency is because it has been kept from you.
Now, of course, to really be effective, we need to use the proper words and phrases, scientifically selected. But that gives you the basic idea. We embed messages just below the threshold of perception, so they can go directly into the subconscious.
They can play across a community these frequencies without anyone knowing, and it starts to have an effect, and it starts to build rage, it starts to build anger, and people might not realize why they're feeling it, but they start to feel it. And then what they do is they trigger that with an event. Maybe some guy is attacked by the police or something, or somebody's arrested for something they didn't commit. And now there's the trigger. The blue touch paper has been lit of this manufactured frequency-driven rage, and you have mass riots and what have you, and people do things that they wouldn't normally do.
So in other words, the master composer, master conductor of the Universal Orchestra is singing love songs in 5/8, uplifting everything simultaneously. And we're the only species out of tune and accepting static for the clear channel.
Do you know that the American military, they've admitted this. They have technology that fires frequencies at the enemy that basically breaks the enemy's spirit so they give up and put their weapons down. This is the technology we're dealing with.
Taylor Swift fans are having literally amnesia from seeing the concert, and instead of being concerned about that, this has become a phenomenon where they're actually happy and proud and think it's pretty amazing. That just shows you the dumbed down society we live in. But let's listen to Good Morning America talk about it and actually try to explain this. Well, they actually try to explain this as if it's not a big deal.
Thank you so much.
So, of course, they laugh this type of stuff off because they think it's pretty incredible. They think it's a great thing. They know exactly what's going on here, okay? These people know about frequency control. They know about the things that we can't see that they do through the air. And remember, the Bible tells us in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 2, wherein in times past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. If that doesn't sum it up. People don't realize that Satan is the prince of the power of the air because they don't really understand what that even means. But if you understand frequency and radiation and the things that are going on right now in our society, then that verse will make a lot more sense to you. So, Swifties and the Beehive, who I've covered over the years, these are the people, of course, who proudly name themselves into this hive mind of worshipers of these false idols. The Swifties think it's great. The Beehive think it's great. Good Morning America thinks it's hilarious. Of course they do, because they're not laughing with you. They're laughing at you, ladies and gentlemen, not you, the listener of this channel. The people out there who are Swifties and Beehivers who think that it's great that they're getting amnesia. They're thinking in their heads that the concert is so mind-blowing that they don't remember it because it was just so good and so great. In fact, they'll go back for more and more and more and more. That's how frightening this is. But let's look at it let's take a deeper dive into the story of Taylor Swift here and how wonderful this is. Taylor Swift's Eras Tour promised to be an unforgettable one, spanning an extensive schedule of 52 dates, 20 stadiums, featuring 10 albums and 44 songs, with each show lasting over 3 hours. However, several fans are now reporting signs of amnesia after attending the concert. Jenna Takatilian, a 25-year-old from New York, shared her experience with Time magazine, stating that post-concert amnesia is a real phenomenon. She explained, they're calling getting spell casted on a phenomenon. Of course, they don't believe in spell casting, yet they probably have posters in their room of Harry Potter and Cinderella and all these other things, but they don't believe in spell casting, you know? And why would these heroes of theirs ever cast spells on them? And in fact, if they did find out they were casting spells on them, they would think it was the coolest thing ever. They'd be like, I can't Taylor Swift's casting spells on me. This is great. Yep. She explained that it was difficult to piece together what she'd actually witnessed, attributing it to a possible sensory overload. It's hard to put together what you actually witness, she said. You're having all these emotions while your favorite songs are playing, and you're like, wow, where am I? If I didn't have the 5-minute video that my friend kindly took of me jamming to Better Man, I probably would have told everyone that it didn't happen. I mean, this is what we're living amongst now, ladies and gentlemen. It's no big deal you don't remember it, right? I could use examples like if I told you if you didn't remember it, you would say it's some type of traumatic event that happened to you, right? Like somebody attacked you and did something to you. And you're like, I don't remember it. I don't remember because you blacked it out from trauma. Because this is probably, one and the same with the spell casting here. And of course, you even heard Good Morning America try to say that when you're in a highly emotional state, that supposedly now when we're all in highly emotional states, we're supposed to black out and not remember it. So if you're overwhelmed and you're crying because you've just gotten engaged, or if you're emotional and you're crying because somebody just passed that you care about, apparently we're all supposed to get amnesia from it and black out and not remember it, right? So apparently those types of things too are comparable to a concert, huh? You've heard stories about people going to concerts and doing all sorts of things and putting things into their bodies and then not remembering it because they were partying. This is normal. Yeah. Okay. Another fan, Nicole Booze, no pun intended with what I was just talking about, age 32 from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, attended Swift's May 14 show in Philadelphia and described it as an out-of-body experience. She said that it felt as though the concert hadn't truly happened to her. Nevertheless, she was aware of the reality of the event as her bank account reflected the $950 spent on the ticket, serving as a reminder. Wow, that's like a round-trip vacation somewhere, the flight, $950 to go see Taylor Swift perform 3 songs so you can get amnesia and not remember it, supposedly. But another thing to keep in mind with this story, folks, is that if you Google search this, you will see all the local news affiliates around the country talking about it. This isn't just like some random thing that Good Morning America posted and Time Magazine published it. Local media affiliates are posting it. So in other words, like Chicago, New York, all of these marketplaces are covering this same exact story wherever Taylor Swift is playing in concerts, and people are coming out of the venues claiming they don't remember it. So we also saw Taylor Swift a few weeks ago, which I covered, performing that ritual on stage. Remember the ritual she performed? And people in the crowd were screaming that, to summon the demons and summon the spirits. Again, Taylor Swift constantly talking about coming out of the woods, where she's referencing witches coming out of the woods. I've covered it all with her. Recently, her last song, that she had her newest music video, wearing the goat, the horned mask and hell and partying and all that stuff. But again, they're not witches. They only tell you that they're witches, by the way, which Taylor Swift's another one that's admitted to being one. So you say if you're at a concert of someone you love, surrounded by thousands of very excited other people listening to music you've got established emotional links to, that's going to be a lot of emotion happening at one time. Neuroscientist Dr. Dean Burnett, honorary research associate at Cardiff University, said, according to the Daily Mail. Pretty interesting that concerts have been going on for quite some time. And you've had like real deep Satanists like, Led Zeppelin or Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, or even Marilyn Manson, that level of Satanist. Well, they're all the same level of Satanist. So we've had all those people because, Led Zeppelin got a guy, Jimmy Page, buying Aleister Crowley's home. I'd say that's pretty satanic. All of a sudden, no one's factoring in 5G. No one's factoring in 5G combined with spells being cast and frequencies from the speakers and the frequencies from the music at which level they're played having an effect on your mind. Well, of course, those things are real. That's actual science, ladies and gentlemen. But the neuroscientists will tell us that if you go to a concert now that you really, really like with other people who are excited, apparently you're supposed to have amnesia afterwards. You see where this is going? This is more than just spell casting. This is frequency assault on the mind. And now that we're seeing this more and more, right, apparently, because this is not just the, what do they call them? The Swifties. It's so embarrassing. The Beehivers as well. So they're going, and it's almost like a competition now. Oh, the Beehive versus Swifties. Who can get amnesia first? You get a cookie at the end of the day. You get to go home and not remember the $1,000 you wasted on the concert, but you'll go back for more because it's a great blackout, right? What in the world are we living among? So the doctor, Dr. Dean Burnett, says, as well as being exhausting for the brain, the frequencies, it's going to mean all the things you experience will have a highly emotional quality, which means nothing stands out, and that's important if you want to retrieve a memory later. So they try to explain away the amnesia, almost like a jubilee in a sense, like, oh my goodness, you're overly excited. You're so excited that you black out and don't remember it. This is everything to do with spellcasting and frequencies. This is basic occult practice. This goes back centuries with using music. And again, I read that quote from Ephesians chapter 2, verse 2. Let me read it again. Wherein in times past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the child of disobedience. Well, we're living amongst children of massive disobedience, and we're seeing the air being manipulated like never before, not just with chemicals from the sky that are being dropped and manipulating the air that we, the air that's coming in our bodies and touching our skin, but also the frequencies that we don't see that are getting fired and zapped at us from all different angles. But this is a great thing, right? we're all supposed to clap and celebrate because we get amnesia after spending $1,000 on a concert. Whether it was John Todd talking about spellcasting in music, or some of the other clips that are out there about frequencies in music, even that guy XXX Temptation, who supposedly died, talking about how he uses frequencies to manipulate people's minds. That's what he was talking about. It's probably why they whacked him. Because, you have such a dumbed down audience base. When these people start talking at just a basic level saying, hey, music is frequency, and frequency can affect your brain and affect your emotional state and can do all sorts of different things to your body, including if you hit a certain level, actually affect your genetic code, but that's another story for another day. If people actually just even at a dumbed down level start hearing this and understanding what it really is, well, then people could start waking up and actually using their brains again, but they don't want to. And they don't. They think it's more interesting that people are getting amnesia because the concert's so great, apparently, that you're getting suddenly. This is a normal thing, by the way. This phenomenon, doctors are telling us that this is normal, that people have been going to concerts getting amnesia.